I'm a Muslim woman.
Modesty is my choice, my freedom.
I have my own mind.
I have my own voice.
I invite you to listen and to look beyond.
I'm a Muslim woman.
My name's Michelle Rehman. I am a director in the NHS. I specifically work in commissioning, and I'm also the National Tarbiyat Secretary for Lajna Imala UK. So the role of the National Tarbiyat Secretary is to inculcate moral and spiritual values into the Lajna members, and members are from the age of 15 and above. My journey was a very long journey. I took Bet in 1997 and I converted from a Pentecostal household. And actually my journey to wearing my hijab was more about my relationship with my parents, more than the embarrassment of wearing a hijab. Therefore, what I used to do was wear a scarf around my head, and when I used to get closer and closer to my parents' house, the scarf would slip from the front to the middle to the back until it was almost around my neck, and then it was around my neck by the time I got to my home front door. And I did that for at least a year. And one day, going to my parents' house, I just simply forgot to go through that process. And what was quite interesting was I'd gone through the door and my mother didn't bat an eyelid, because of course mothers know everything. My mother knew I was wearing a scarf. And because she didn't make a big deal out of it, and I didn't have to, what I felt like was go through the trauma of explaining it to her, actually Allah took care of that. It was easy. After that point, I started thinking about, actually, why am I wearing a hijab? And as I've found that my relationship with Allah has grown, so has my hijab tightened. And each time I strive for that improvement, I find that I get some reward back. And that's the thing that's most comforting for me. When I started on my journey, my colleagues at that time were taken aback. They were taken aback by Michelle, who wore her hair in all sorts of different styles. Caribbean women love plaits, and what they saw was me go from that to somebody who wanted to make sure that she was covering her hair. And actually, I just took them through that process with me. I explained to them, and those work colleagues at the time were the colleagues who saw me transition from Michelle the Pentecostal Christian to Michelle the Ahmadi Muslim. So I won't forget them because they did the journey with me. It doesn't matter who you are in society. Actually, for an Ahmadi Muslim woman, she is looking at pleasing Allah the Almighty. So, of course, I couldn't visibly be wearing my hijab and working on my relationship with Allah the Almighty, but have filth on my tongue. Those things don't come together. So actually, something as basic as the hijab brings with it so many other elements of richness from faith that become very, very important. And it's a reminder every day, not just for me, but for those around me. And one of the most important things for me is actually your hijab defines you as an individual, but what shines through beyond your hijab is you as an individual.